Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. In December of 2002, the city of Chicago dedicated a statue called the Flame of the Millennium, a 7-ton stainless steel abstract rendering of a flame in high wind, standing over the Kennedy Expressway just west of the downtown loop. On November 3, 2006, the statue appeared to be on fire. When authorities got there, they found a video camera, a canister of gasoline, a sign reading "Thou shalt not kill," and a human body so badly charred that it was impossible to determine its gender. Someone had self-immolated near a highway off-ramp amid rush-hour traffic. Over the next few days, members of Chicago's avant-garde music community would be shocked to learn that the person who'd done this was one of their own. According to the statements left on his website, 52-year-old Malachi Ritscher had set himself on fire to protest the war in Iraq and the politics that allowed it to happen. Those that knew Ritscher remember him warmly. He was kind, intelligent, funny, outgoing, polite, and yet there's not much doubt that Ritscher was also, in a lot of ways, alone. He was born Mark David Ritscher in 1954 in North Dakota, according to the obituary he posted to his own website. He dropped out of high school and married at age 17. He had a son. 10 years later, when his marriage dissolved, Ritscher moved to Chicago and immersed himself in the music scene, taking his son's name, Malachi, for his own. For years, he'd been a constant presence in Chicago's experimental music community, and probably its most committed documentarian. From the late 1980s onward, he spent an incredible number of nights out at shows, recording and photographing the musicians and spending time with other fans. Music wasn't the only thing he immersed himself in either. He was an active anti-war activist, an avid photographer, a collector, a reader, and a writer. He painted watercolors, wrote poetry, and dabbled with various musical instruments. Since his death, there has been much debate as to its meaning. Was this an act of political martyrdom, or was it a mentally troubled suicide? Many have answered this question by saying that whatever Malachi's mental state, his political statement should not be ignored. What follows is a dramatic reading of the mission statement which Malachi posted to his website shortly before taking his own life.
My actions should be self-explanatory. And since in our self-obsessed culture words seldom match the deed, writing a mission statement would seem questionable. So judge me by my actions. Maybe some will be scared enough to wake from their walking dream state. Am I therefore a martyr or terrorist? I would prefer to be thought of as a spiritual warrior. Our so-called leaders are the real terrorists in the world today, responsible for more deaths than Osama bin Laden. When I hear about our young men and women who are sent off to war in the name of God and country, and who give up their lives for no rational cause at all, my heart is crushed. What has happened to my country? We've become worse than the imagined enemy, killing civilians and calling it collateral damage, torturing and trampling human rights inside and outside our own borders, violating our own Constitution whenever it seems convenient, lying and stealing right and left, more concerned with sports on television and ringtones on cell phones than the future of the world. Half the population is taking medication because they cannot face the daily stress of living in the richest nation in the world. I too love God and country and feel called upon to serve. I can only hope my sacrifice is worth more than those brave lives thrown away when we attacked an Arab nation under the deception of weapons of mass destruction. Our interference completely destroyed that country and destabilized the entire region. Everyone who pays taxes has blood on their hands. I've had one previous opportunity to serve my country in a meaningful way. At 8:05 one morning in 2002, I passed Donald Rumsfeld on Delaware Avenue, and I was acutely aware that slashing his throat would spare the lives of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of innocent people. I had a knife clenched in my hand, and there were no bodyguards visible. To my deep shame, I hesitated, and the moment was past. The violent turmoil initiated by the United States military invasion of Iraq will beget future centuries of slaughter if the human race lasts that long. First, we spit on the United Nations, then we expect them to clean up our mess. Our elected representatives are supposed to find diplomatic and benevolent solutions to these situations. Anyone can lash out and retaliate. That is not leadership or vision. Where is the wisdom and honor of the people we delegate our trust to? To the rest of the world, we are cowards, demanding Iraq to disarm, and after they comply, we attack with remote control, high-tech video game weapons, and then lie about our reasons for invading. We, the people, bear complete responsibility for all that will follow, and it won't be pretty. It is strange that most, if not all, of this destruction is instigated by people who claim to believe in God or Allah. Many sane people turn away from religion, faced with the insanity of the true believers. There's a lot of confusion. Many people think that God is like Santa Claus, rewarding good little girls with presents and punishing bad little boys with lumps of coal. Actually, God functions more like the Easter Bunny, hiding surprises in plain sight. God does not choose the lottery numbers. God does not make the weather. God does not endorse military actions by the self-righteous. God does not sit on a cloud listening to your prayers for prosperity. God does not smite anybody. If God watches the sparrow fall, you notice that it continues to drop, even to its death. Face the truth, folks. God doesn't care. That's not what God is or does. If the human race drives itself to extinction, God will be there for another couple of million years watching as a new species rises and falls to replace us. It is time to let go of primitive and magical beliefs and enter the age of personal responsibility, not telling others what is right for them, but making our own choices and accepting consequences.
I'm Alejandro Molina, and you're watching Chicago Independent Television.
I see the soul of a nation, must be true 'cause I've seen it on TV.
About a year ago, Mark and I thought, air pollution, global warming. How can we make a difference? So Mark modified our car, some sort of homemade energy source.
The best part is the car emits only helium.
Genius.
But the EPA says the energy we use in our home can cause twice the greenhouse gases of a car. So now I look for products that are in the Energy Star. Simple.
The EPA invites you to go to EnergyStar.gov to discover what you can do to reduce air pollution.